So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 62nd National Dowsing Convention, American Society of Dowsers. This morning, we are pleased to welcome, I'm sorry if I mangle your name, but Alessandra Previdi. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay. She will be speaking to us from Italy. She is analyzing what happens in the subtle world when we use a pendulum or radionic drawings to send a treatment at a distance. So she has an amazing background she'll be sharing with us. And without further ado, we'd like to welcome Alessandra Previdi. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm very happy to be with you, my international family of dowsers, to share my research. Thank you so much for inviting me as a virtual speaker. I also want to thank very much Susan Collins for recommending me as a speaker. Thank you so much, Susan. You are a very nice friend. And I also want to finally thank my Russian friends, the Argonauts. Without them, this research would not have been possible. So now I will share my screen and I will begin my conference.
Alessandra, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second for a little bit of housekeeping. So everybody please mute your cell phones. I'll have the mute on for the rest of the class, but just we don't need to have any interruptions, so we can all focus on Alessandra. You also should have the evaluation form, so please return that to me before you leave, so we can get feedback on that and get that to Alessandra so she knows what she can focus on for next time. Full screen of her? Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to do that, but I need to keep the chat to see those. So that's it. Thank you very much. We'll let you carry on, Alessandra. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I will, don't know what's happening. I cannot share the screen. I don't know why. Did you put me on the share screen? Because I cannot.
You should be allowed to. I haven't stopped you from sharing screen.
Okay, okay. So here I am. I was thanking my friends, the Argonauts, because they made this research possible. And I think I should have called my conference Dowsing with the Argonauts, really, because it should have been more appropriate. So let's start. So how is it going, this? Okay, so this is me, a little presentation of myself. And I am a curious person, and my approach to life is that of a researcher, always on the hunt for how and why. Using dowsing and radionics for many years, from the beginning, I wondered how they worked. How is it possible that through a pendulum, I can analyze a person from a distance or send treatments? What element intervene apart from our intent and the mechanical rotation of a pendulum? Also, how do radionics instruments send treatments remotely? Not to mention symbols, the healing drawings offered by paper radionics, but visible from time immemorial in the form of graffiti, paintings, tattoos, mandalas, drawings that somehow positively or negatively influence our reality. Yes, we live in a large hologram where we are all united, and at the level of thought, there is neither time nor space. in addition to being the daily experience of all of us dowsers and radionics practitioners, modern physics now provides us with many explanations, with the theories of non-locality, entanglement, parallel universe, and much more. But so much is still mysterious, at least for me. Who knows, maybe it is possible to override science and faith and instead objectively see what happens at that invisible level where everything seems to happen before manifesting itself in material reality, and thus remove any doubts about remote treatment, protection, karma, fatigue, precision, spiritual guides, and many other questions that arise when you start using this technique. How can this be possible? This search began many years ago and has naturally and inevitably mingled with another one of an absolutely spiritual kind. An important step was getting to know the Bronnikov-Feklerov method. Vyacheslav Mikhailovich Bronnikov is a Russian researcher who has dedicated himself to the exploration of invisible realities and the development of cosmic man. This exploration takes place through a fundamental discovery by him, the psychobiocomputer, of which traces seem to be found in ancient Tibetan writings. When properly developed, psychobiocomputer allow us to do extraordinary things, including accessing the multiple realms invisible in other realities. In a word, stop believing, but know objectively and see with your eyes. The Bronnikov method aims in the first level to increase our energy level with a series of simple exercises taken from the Western Templar tradition, Eastern Qigong and Kung Fu practices, and then with subsequent levels, it dedicates to train the inner and outer vision, and this is done blindfolded. But this is just a small part of the unique knowledge that this man possesses. So to me, it seemed like the solution, but unfortunately, he speaks only Russian, and she is almost unapproachable, and developing the psychobiocomputer is not so easy, it is difficult. In this fascinating journey, I met Kamal Mustafa, a young man with extraordinary gift. He is a Russian who grown up in Lebanon. He has a degree in economics and sociology, and is a passionate scholar of philosophy, religion, mathematics, informatics. He is an expert in the martial art of contactless combat and in many things that have to do with spirituality. He worked with Bronnikov, exploring with him the invisible realms inaccessible to most of us. After a few years, detached from Bronnikov and his method, he studied with other masters and techniques, becoming himself a master and developing his own school. This is a kind of a declaration of Kamal. We consider the subtle world to be just another plane of existence. Humanity conquered land, sea, air, and now cosmos. The subtle world is yet to be discovered and yet to be domesticated. We claim to possess enough tools for a successful voyage into this world. So Kamal, I asked to him why he called this school the Argonaut School. And he told me this: people called us Argonauts since we first explained our dream. Our colleagues found an ancient myth about a secret ship and a courageous voyage to an unknown world of knowledge. We are able to get knowledge from this subtle world, and we swore to use this knowledge to keep peace on earth, ecology on a high level, and help humanity. We strongly believe in the existence of the soul in every being. We define the soul as an eminent fact of existence. Soul is the fact of existence itself, and existence defines the soul. That's why our experts at the start of the training learn how to establish connection to the soul. Existence is prolonged and endless, whereas life could be short. Humans have at least 3 frames of reference of existence. The first one is biological existence, the one that we inherit from animals. These are reflexes that were tested throughout evolution. This level is completely limited to what nature gave us. The second is mind existence, the one that we acquire throughout lifetime, educational background, and culture. This is also limited to the environment that we live in. Mind is highly influenced by local ideologies and contaminations. And the third one is spiritual existence, the soul, a limitless, immortal cosmic explorer. Soul is not bound by any limits, so if we are able to expose its powers, we could overcome the limits of body and mind. He also told me I was skeptical by the existence of soul at the start. I used to believe that we are just working with a hidden part of the brain. Preserved abilities are revealed in a state of emergency when some people are able to demonstrate miraculous abilities of survival. I was studying these states of emergency since I was specializing in international security and international affairs. In my work, I've noticed how people change in zones of conflict. Suddenly, they acquire hypersensitivity. During dangerous situations in Lebanon, I was able to pinpoint people with weapons. We Argonauts found out that the origin of all these special abilities in humans is the soul. So nowadays, I'm no longer skeptical about it. To explore the invisible world that weaves our reality, the Argonauts use infovision, or rather, they call the quantum brain, and not the psychobiocomputer as Bronikov does. They put on a mask to cover their eyes and then connect with their soul. They turn on their inner senses to see beyond matter. But how does it work? As I told you already, the Bronikov method also is dedicated to vision without using the eyes. And they got results with people with eyes disability. But what Kamal does is completely different. Kamal's infovision is something else. Let's see how he defines it. Infovision can objectively see the subtle state of a particular person. When our experts make a diagnosis, they do not see the image of a person, but the higher self of him. This is the center of all decisions and the basis of his psychology. For example, a person asks if he will be successful in business, and if his brain activity does not fit that, we tell him no. But we can see, for example, his talent for art, and we recommend him to go to this direction. It's very simple. This will probably be a joy and a success for him, because that's what he is born for. Infovision sees facts, not fanciful interpretation of reality. Infovision is impartial, emotionless, like math or physics, as accurate as a laboratory scale. Infovision is a science. It can help people understand themselves and show the reason for their problems. So Kamal was young and more accessible than Bronico. He was gifted with extraordinary knowledge and skills, and so he and his Argonauts could be the answer. And so I asked them if they would like to investigate a few things for me in my field, dowsing and radionics. They agreed to help me in my research, even if they did not know anything about it. This fascinating research is still ongoing, and I think will lead to the writing of a book. Now I have to introduce you to Elvira, a Russian girl who is part of the Argonauts team. She is very good with Infovision and working with Kamal. She was born in the far north of Russia, in Yakutia. It is a place where paganism and shamanism are still widespread. At the age of 16, she went to Moscow and trained to become a lawyer. In 2014, she met Kamal, and then together they organized the Argonaut School. Since then, they have been running courses and offering diagnostics. The diagnostics are private meetings where a person receives help respecting her life's purpose, skills, health problems, relationships, business, and much more. We started by analyzing dowsing. I sent them some books to read because they didn't know the subject. Then I sent them videos where I showed different types of pendulum or did some simple dowsing. They watched them using the mask and evaluated what was happening. Then we did some investigation on some of my students, making them use the pendulum while they were looking at what was happening in the mask. We have chosen young and old, less experienced and more experienced students. So what did they do? Simple things like evaluating the effect of different food on someone's energy. I also asked my friend, an expert in radionics, Peter Redatti, to send me a video while he was doing a radionics analysis to evaluate what happens during the use of a radionic instrument. And now I would like to thank him publicly. The Argonauts' way of working is incredible and certainly like no other. One day they organized a Skype meeting, they live very far from each other, in which they worked with the mask on dowsing, and they included my soul in their meeting. Then after a month, they sent me the recording to translate as they were speaking Russian. And I discovered that I had participated in this meeting without knowing it, as a soul and as a dowser. They checked what happened to me while I was using the pendulum and what I was able to do. They observed and understood how the processes took place, what was happening inside me, to the pendulum, to the object of the research. It was just as if I were there. Elvira made me do things. She asked me how I was doing. She watched my reaction. And they also taught me. They made me become aware of some processes. They asked me if I understood it, and finally my thought about it. My soul answered every question, and this is incredible. I have translated and written some parts of this meeting, and now I'm reading it to you. So they started like this. At first, let's see what happens while Alessandra uses the pendulum. So Kamal put two objects, one yellow and one black, on the table in front of him and asked Elvira to watch what happened when I dowsed which of the two objects he put his finger on. He asked 3 times, and every time he put the fingers on the black object. Then asked Elvira what happened. Elvira said, the pendulum swung in one direction, the black object, like an arrow, and I didn't see anything except that Alessandra was empty. She was only looking at the pendulum. Great, said Kamal. Now take a saucer with water and place it in front of her, and tell the water that it must synchronize with the object I hold in my right hand. The pendulum is an antenna, so let's try to set it using water on an object and see if it can show its image. Elvira said, I can see that connections are established, that a window or a mirror or even a portal appeared. Kamal said, yes, it is like a portal. You can give the command to this portal to show the image. You can ask it to show Alessandra this object. Elvira said she sees something yellow, soft, without shape, but the pendulum has difficulty in creating an image. I see that it tries to do it, but it doesn't work like that. The water can create the image, but the pendulum cannot. So she cannot see well. The image is out of focus. At this point, Kamal began to explain something about attunement. We have a lot of noise in our brain, as we have billions of neurons, he said, and in our body that is made of billions of cells too. It's like we are sitting in a train with a lot of passengers, and all the passengers are talking with their phones in different languages. It's a total mess, it's chaos. The opposite of noise is signal. Synchronization means that you listen to one and only one of the telephone, to only one channel. This means that only certain combination of neurons get to work. Our consciousness should synchronize with the right channel when dowsing. Healing is a channel, finding object is another channel. We cannot mix them. Each of them has a different combination of neurons at work, a specific algorithm. You can do a simple exercise. Take a deck of cards, pull one up and ask yourself, is it a red card or a black card? It's an easy exercise, 50% chance, and the brain can make a mistake. But with InfoVision, the brain works in a way that it doesn't make mistakes. Why? Because certain neurons in our brain know that the card is red, while other neurons just suppose that it's either red or black. If we listen to the neurons that only suppose, we can make mistakes. But if we learn to listen to the neurons that are created for this particular purpose of reading the cards, in reality, reading their reality, they are always right. The same thing goes with basketball player. He can throw the ball and he can miss, but sometimes it doesn't miss. Why? Because in order to score the score, you have to use a certain neuron algorithm. However, because of blood pressure, anxiety, and many circumstances, the player fails to listen to the right origin of the brain and fails to score the score. This is true for everything, but there is something else to hold in consideration. Alessandra saw the object shapeless because my will acted on this form. In fact, he said, I didn't want her to see it 100%, and therefore she couldn't see it clearly. It is very important to understand this when dowsing. The will of other people can influence your perception. For example, the will of those who have designed or have produced an object. Everything remains as information inside the electrons. You can dowse paintings, sculptures, drawings, architectures, ancient and new objects, lands and people. But if there is a prohibition within them to show certain information, you will not be able to see it. Or you could see information being put over and not true. I encountered this phenomenon many times in my research. Then Kamal asked how I was feeling, and Elvira told him that this last exercise had created tension. So Kamal proposed to wait a little to relax. And meanwhile, he wanted to talk to me about his vision of dowsing. And so began to ask Elvira to show me things. First, show her she has a brain. Show it in 3 dimensions. Let's see it inside. We have 20 billion neurons in our brains, and each neuron has hundreds of connections with other neurons. We do not pay attention to the quantity of neurons because they are only the diodes. We pay attention to light, to the exchange of electricity. When this happens, a bond occurs with another electron that may be at the end of the cosmos, or maybe we don't even know that something exists. When an electron passes from one phase to another phase, on the other side of the cosmos, an identical electron passes from one phase to another. And all this happens in a chaotic manner. In the human body, there are atomic nuclei that are radioactive, and they decay 5,000 times per second. And when they decay, they interact with what surrounds them, become entangled. And this is happening many times just because of radioactivity in our bodies. It is like this every second. We go in hundreds of parallel universes and then we come back. And these things happen all the time. Brain electrical activity is the same. Biological activity is always built on the exchange of electrons. In other words, the human being continuously vibrates in thousands of volts. The process of dowsing has to do with the light that unites all the electrons in our brain with the electrons that make up the thousands of universes. Our intent can bend the electrons that make up an object and make it stick to the pendulum. With the pendulum, we read the correct information, but this information can be correct in a parallel universe and wrong in this one. But then, should we focus only on this universe? No, this is impossible. If we have to find a vein of water, we will not just go there looking for water, but we will program all the space's electrons to show us the vein of water. Therefore, instead of reading the information, we design it. In practice, it is as if you had imagined that I would point to the black object before I did, saying, I want Kamal to show the black object. Reading information is very difficult science. It is easier to connect to my soul and ask her what object I am indicating. So what is the soul? We can try a definition even if it is not definitive. It is the turning of all these electrons to a single point. If they were turned to another side, you wouldn't exist. But a certain number of electrons turned and you were born. It is easy to find you because you exist. This I call being. For everything, for every person that was, is, and will be, it means that the cosmos has turned its quantum physics into one point, and this one point where the combination of all cosmic interest takes place is the soul of that person. In the same way, I can call the soul of this object that I hold in my hands. I will communicate not so much with the object itself, but with this configuration of electrons, which are all turned towards a single point, that of the object, and all carry the information of this object. Being everywhere, you can turn to the electrons that are found everywhere, even in your body, and they will tell you about that object. Everything is alive, so everything has a soul. The same thing is for the pendulum. It synchronizes with the whole world, and all over the world there are electrons that are turned towards the pendulum. And at the same time, this pendulum is turned towards this electron. It is only necessary to give the order to the pendulum to stick to this object, and the pendulum will stick to the electrons, to the existence of this object. There is an uninterrupted universal link between all objects. This is God, who is not bad or good. It is just an unbroken connection. It is the sea that contains all the drops. So tell me, Elvira, now, how did Alessandra perception become? Elvira said, it has amplified. So let's continue the experiment, said Kamal. Take the pendulum. Imagine that all these relationships appear and disappear continuously, and the pendulum must be set on the black object I have in my hand. The pendulum, said Elvira, moves in a circle and sets itself up like this. Kamal said, turn to the pendulum through Alessandra and say, dear pendulum, please show me the answer. You must tell us where the object is, if it is in the right or left hand. What will your movement be if it is in the right hand? And what will your movement be if it is in the left hand? Elvira said, the pendulum turns in a circle to the right if it is in the right hand, and turns in a circle to the left if in the left hand. So Kamal said, now I've taken the object. In which hand do I hold it? Is it left? And now left. Now it is correct. First, no, wasn't correct. Let's do it again. Now, Elvira said, right. Right, correct. Elvira said, the first time the pendulum was hanging and thinking. Then it went a little left and right, set itself, and then began to turn, as if it were in a trance. Excellent, we understand. Thanks, pendulum. When you said it started thinking, the pattern within him lit up. So you have to set both pendulum and operator in the same way. The pendulum will set up quickly by itself because this is its nature. Basically, you must teach it, its behavior. You have to love the pendulum. It is alive and thinking, and you have to give it time to think and understand. You have to respect him, and you have to teach him. He has to study. This is the correct attitude towards the pendulum, not a consumeristic attitude. So, let's talk about our beloved pendulum. The first pendulum we analyzed is a spiral pendulum. Elvira found this pendulum very alive and quite rebellious. To work with this pendulum is required a rather high sensitivity. You must tune well into him. To get information and change something using it, you must feel the pendulum, understand it. Elvira asked to the pendulum how it gets information. It answered with the help of the edges, with the spiral. It reads the waves. Overall, it's a good pendulum, a good shape. She also asked if it has a specialization. This is a wave pendulum. It works well for everything, but maybe there is a specialization in health, in treatments, in psychology. It can restore and adjust the human vibration correctly. When it works on the organs of a person, it carries out tangle lines, like tangle energy, that then it unfolds and aligns. That's how it works. And now let's go to the Karnak, the brass Karnak. This pendulum, in subtle terms, looks very long, so to speak. Its roots are deep. It is a nice pendulum. It is an executive. It does exactly what it is told to do. It loves clear wording. It is obedient. Easily connect with any dowser. I have a feeling that this pendulum has the ability to reason. It's like it is smart. He knows what to do, and he knows when and what to do. It goes deep, so you can work with large-scale questions with him. Emits a green-yellow color. It works quite well. You just need the right questions to ask or the right command to give. It is easy to manage because it is related to management. And this is the replication of the first Karnak that was found, or thought pendulum that was found in an Egypt tomb. And it is a wooden pendulum. Elvira said it is a good conductor. It can absorb and emit. We did an experiment using this pendulum to transfer information of vitamin C from the pill to a glass of water. It is said that this pendulum can transfer information. So I took a vitamin C pill in my left hand and holding the pendulum in my right hand over a glass of water, I asked the pendulum to transfer the vitamin C into the water. What Elvira saw during this experiment was that this pendulum is like a rose wide open, made out of petals. These petals catch and release information. These petals are formed by the cuts at the tip of the pendulum, and these cuts really harmonize it. Such cuts can be on other pendulums, not necessarily on this one, on a wooden one. And now we go to the sweet Isis. This is another Egyptian pendulum. What Elvira said, that it works with a kind of supersonic wave. It is very suitable for human health, harmonizes human biology. Also, it is suitable for animal. The aura and chakras line up. This pendulum is safe. It is condescending, accommodating, sympathetic. We did many other pendulum, but for now, I think this is enough. And we go to the radionics drawings. We also analyzed the radionic drawings commonly used by the community of dowsers and radionics practitioners in their daily work. Perhaps some of you are unfamiliar with the use of radionic drawings. They are an important discovery of the French dowser of the last century and are still used successfully by many dowsers and radionic practitioners. At the beginning, the radionic drawings were born from the esoteric world. They were drawings designed specifically and individually for certain situations: protect the house, find a soulmate, increase income, solve a health problem. Over time, many drawings have become generic, usable by everyone to achieve a certain purpose or just to broadcast a treatment. This modality is known as paper radionics because it uses drawings and not electronic devices such as real radionics, which was born here in the United States by the great neurophysiologist Albert Abrams. Paper radionics makes use of symbols, geometric shapes, and more. It is a very interesting and cheap way to work at a distance on people, animals, and fields, agriculture, and we use it a lot in our project of Radionics Without Borders, as it is very affordable for everyone, for anyone. So I presented the Argonauts with a famous radionic drawing, the shield. Many people think the shield's purpose is against the black magic, but in reality, it is against mind manipulation, as its creators, the Severance brothers, pinpointed. So I asked to evaluate the orientation of the drawing with respect to the cardinal points, north or not north. The majority of the radionic drawings need to be put toward the north. So this was the response of the Argonauts. In fact, if the drawing is placed in the correct direction, oriented north, in the thin plane, this drawing is activated. Otherwise, no activation occurs and no effects are observed. When activated, the lines in the figure begin to turn green and project the line upward. If you look at this drawing activated in the horizontal plane, the upward lines look like thin walls, some kind of obstacle. During the experiment, the operator, that was me, placed a photograph of a person within the drawing. To test the impact, we went to this person's soul. As soon as her photo is placed within the pattern around her soul, a kind of aura appears, which effect is deafness, as if all the sounds hit the walls, but nothing was heard, as if the sound were absorbed by this aura. We cannot say that this field or aura is pleasant for the quantum. Rather, it is not pleasant for her and causes discomfort. She feels the deafness all around, as if she was isolated, deaf, or not being listened to. To some extent, this can create the following protective effect. People can begin to forget about the person, not hear the person, since sounds do not spread. Information seems to vanish. This means that the threat of the people is less. Also, the person only feels himself, so she cannot be manipulated by others. The Argonauts also ask for information on this scheme. We receive information that this is an element of technology to block and limit quanta. They call the soul quanta. They don't like the word soul, they prefer quanta. In time and space. That was used when it is necessary to isolate a quantum as a type of punishment or protection. This is another drawing. It's called the solar energy. This is a drawing used to increase energy. The circles in the center represent the energy of the sun. while the square indicates 4 aspects of the energy: physical, emotional, mental, and moral. The diamond above was drawn to stabilize and balance the drawing. The person witness must be placed in the center, above the circles. So this is what the Argonauts found out. When I look at this pattern on a subtle level, I see that it is somehow highlighted. In a subtle way, the diamond levitates. Perhaps it symbolizes a stone. When a witness is placed above the circles, something happens to the person. So far, I can say that it is a kind of feeling with something. Maybe it's energy, but I cannot say that it somehow takes root immediately in a person. It still needs to be digested and adapted to the person. Therefore, I cannot yet say that it is like filling a person with vitality. I don't know if this impact is positive or negative, but there is an impact. When I remove the stone from this setup, the radiation from the circles becomes too strong. Perhaps the stone is meant to ground this energy of the sun in some way, or transmute it to a safer level. And this is the famous Apollonius drawing, dedicated to protection from curses and black magic. The witness of the person must be placed at the center within the network and left for a certain amount of time. So Elvira looked at the drawing and she said that when I looked at this drawing, it's not highlighted. It seems to me that this scheme has the task of being secret in a subtle way, as if to go unnoticed. The net inside the great circles is like a trap in a subtle way. It is not flat, it is bulky. It looks like a hunting trap, a structure with some kinds of ropes and some waiting agents at the ends of the ropes. And in this way, it is held back due to these waiting agents. The small circles above are invisible. Maybe this is just a trap for something like spirits. I don't know about black magic. I tried putting a piece of paper with a person's name on this network. As a result, an image of this person appears inside the trap and is not highlighted. I see that there is some effect on the shell of the quanta. I don't know, I still cannot assess how strong the effect on quanta is, but something is happening. Lines or something like that appear running through the shells of quanta. I removed the piece of paper with a person's name on it, and the trap of the circle is gone. I also tried not to put a piece of paper with a person's name there, but to place an image. The image of this person appears there already highlighted, while it wasn't with a piece of paper. This drawing is called liver activator. This drawing serves to activate the liver. Generally, a glass of water is placed in the center of the drawing, and for the treatment, the person needs to drink the water. That's a very useful drawing in spring. So I gave it to Elvira, and she said this: when I look it from the intersection of the lines within the image, they seem to emit upward radiation, like some kind of pillars. I tried putting a piece of paper with a name inside the circle, and something like a broken glass image of this person appeared within the circle. Then, when I put a glass of water inside, a change in the water really began to occur. It looked like it was boiling. Maybe it's oxygen enrichment, I do not know. It is still unclear how long this glass should stand on this drawing. For a while, the glass remained standing, and all this time it bubbled. I tried to drink this water and see what happens to me. Well, this water had something to do with spring, and in the body, there is something connected with spring. I tried to turn this pattern into an image, and it took on the image of a druid in white clothing with a cane. The pattern cannot hold the image for a long time, so after some time it turns into the pattern again. This druid also has something to do with spring, because he said something about it, information related to the flowering of the trees, as if this druid carried the meaning associated with the flowering tree typical of springtime. And this is the decagon. It's also widely used, and it's used to materialize the remedies to be broadcast using other emitter drawings. In itself, it does not broadcast anything, but its function is primarily creation. Therefore, it can also be used to reinforce the materialization of a project. So Elvira looked at it, and she said it is recommended to supplement the scheme with tubes and balls, which should be inside at the corners. This drawing symbolizes the spheres, because for a better materialization, the decagon needs a dome, a sphere. This was another decagon with circle inside. Here the circle symbolizes the dome. The circle creates volumes, help for materialization. You need to put the object in a circle. We put a piece of paper there with a person's name. A man appears inside the corner figure, but a person is just like a mannequin. He has no individual signs. We put the person's name on a sheet of paper and the inscription on a sheet of vitamin C paper inside the circle. So there are two pieces of paper. Within the angular form, there is a kind of materialization of immunity in this mannequin. We call the quanta of this person whose name is written on a piece of paper. The quanta does not register that some effect is taking place with this quanta, but there is some positive effect in his shells. The effect in the aura is pleasant, stimulating, moving. This is the effect of vitamin C. We put on this circle a piece of paper in which the project is written. Something starts happening within the angular shape, a certain amount of information. The information somehow materializes and begins to function. Look at the quanta associated with this project. If you remove the piece of paper with the project test from the corner shape, this reinforcement does not completely disappear. So you need to hold the piece of paper with this project for some time so that it fully materializes. And last, I show you the diamonds of Herix. This drawing has been, radionic drawing, has been used for at least 60 years. This is a very famous radionics drawing. On subtle vision, Elvira told me it looks like a pyramid, like a cone up, as if concentration were strengthened by creating a certain ray. And when you put something in the center of this pattern, this ray directs the impact on a person. If information such as vitamin C is given to a witness, this vitamin will affect this person. A good positive influence, the scheme works very well. In summary, the process of dowsing has to do with the light that unites all the electrons in our brain with the electrons that make up the thousands of universe. Our intent can bend the electrons that make up an object and make it stick to the pendulum. As expected, we proved our theory that radionics and dowsing are directly related to the operator of the instrument. The people that had better results from dowsing or radionics are those that have better connection with their soul. If the dowser works with his mind, body, and soul harmoniously, he achieves better results. If instruments, pendulums, radionic instruments can be enhanced, everything that exists has a soul. Making a good connection with them, working with the soul of instrument, enhancing them with the power of the elements, makes them work better. And this is the end of my conference. I hope you can understand, and I hope that you like it. So thank you very much for listening to me, and love your pendulums. Here I am for questions and answers, if I can.
Okay, so thank you so much. And have we got any questions here or from our live stream folks?
Is there any way to get a translation of what she was saying? Because with the accent, and also the speaker, it's hard to understand.
It's a little hard to understand. We're going to have the recording, so hopefully that will help clear it up because we've got a little bit of an echo in this room. So the recording should be a little bit clearer, I think.
But no transcript.
It looked like she was reading from a transcript. Could we ask her?
Yeah, would you mind sharing the notes with us, Alessandra? Is that something that you could forward to the dowsers and we can include your notes?
Yes, of course I can. Yes, my pleasure. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay, so you have a bunch of thank yous in the chat. And then Susan Collins wants to know if, in order to be accurate, do we need to glue eyes to our pendulums?
Yes.
Of course. If not, they are not alive. If you don't put the little eyes.
Right, how are they going to see what we're looking at, right? So yes, we have a couple of questions.
This is the first time I've ever heard anyone say that our dowsing pendulum has a soul and that we should try to connect with it and have a relationship with it. Can you say anything more about that? I think that's so interesting.
Did you want to address that, Alessandra, that our pendulums have a soul? That's a new concept.
Oh, yes. This was fascinating to me also, because I used to have a consumeristic attitude with pendulum. Just take this, do this. I never had this perception that everything has a consciousness, everything is alive in some way. So for me, it was a discovery too, and I found this like a sort of relief, like a sort of being more natural, more right, because it's really like this. We can have information if we have the right attitude towards things. No, like maybe if we live in a material world, so we grow up with this materialistic attitude. Of course, it's me that I have this I had this materialistic attitude was for me, and this is not right. And if we want a better world, we should begin thinking about things in this way, to respect everything, not only nature but everything, because everything has a soul. The thing that Kamal said about the soul, it's not really a good word for this, because we attach to this word a lot of meaning that we have from religion. So he prefers to say the quanta, because this doesn't have any relationship with religion or the idea we already have about the soul. But imagine like an existence, like being alive. So in being alive, you have a conscious because everything is alive, is in the same connection. Everything is connected, everything is God, everything is the sea, and we are drops, but everything is drop, also pendulums. So I see this in this way now. I never seen this way before, before my meetings with the Argonauts. I don't know if I answered your question and if you could understand
Yes, thank you.
my English, my English.
Yep, and we have another question. Go ahead.
I have two questions. Does she use the same pendulum when she's, I assume she spins the energy with the pendulum over the pattern board with the witness?
Can you hear that, Alessandra?
If I use the same pendulum, where?
Over the boards, over the
Over
drawings?
the drawings. Diagrams.
The pictures that you use, the radionic pictures, do you use the same pendulum over the pictures?
And do you spin it?
And do you spin it to charge it using the pendulum's energy
To send it
to
to the.
send it?
Using the drawings, the radionic drawing,
Mhm.
just sending treatment.
Yeah, she just did it. She's spinning her pendulum
Yes.
with the witness. Yes, thank you. That was missing.
Yes.
So is was that one question or two questions?
Does she use the same pendulum
Oh, okay.
or different? She showed us different pendulums.
Yeah.
Which pendulum does she use them interchangeably? Does she what?
Yeah. Do you switch up the pendulums depending on what you're doing, or do you always use your same one?
The board.
I use the same, but from time to time I change. Maybe after some time I feel more another one. So maybe I leave the old one and I begin to use another one. But in reality, I almost use the same.
And that's the one with the spiral?
The ISIS I use a lot.
I
And I have a little Karnak. And now that I know that this is so deep and so smart, I think I will start using it more.
Awesome.
The Karnak,
I
the
have
thought.
another follow-up question. Where do you get these shapes? Where do you get them?
Where do you get the radionic shapes from?
The cards.
Do you have a place that, do you make the cards? Do you sell the cards? Did you get them from someplace else? By the way, folks, the squares up here are the microphones. So when we're talking, we're trying to angle our voices. That one and this one. There are two. So that's where she's hearing us through.
So I ran a school of radionic and dowsing. So I give these drawings. They are part of my school. But you can find them in the radionic shops of Severance. I will send the name on the chat, and you can have a look at the website.
Perfect, thank you.
They're in Belgium.
Well, is it in English or just,
Yeah,
It's in French, unfortunately. It's everything in French because they are from Belgium, I think. So, but anyway, if you look at the internet and you just put the word like radionic, paper radionics or radionics drawing, something like, you can find a lot of image and you can download a lot of image.
Thank you.
Thank you. We had another question. You had a question?
I wanted to know how we can get the drawing.
On the drawings, okay. Yeah, all right.
with the instructions?
With the instructions.
I'm gonna have to have them translated if you, but Severance is a very big radionics,
Community, I'm guessing.
well, community, and also they're very big producers of pendulums and all kinds of things.
Awesome, great.
Radionics.
Is your training program just all in Italian, or do you have any English training programs?
Right now, my school is in Italian, but after summer, I am translating all my levels. The school has 5 levels, and so I will translate everything and translating everything in English and the Spanish. So my school will be available in every language.
Wonderful.
But it's not now. After summer, they will be ready. I have a platform where I've put my school recorded, so everyone can access. Will have the access.
You can wait until the end of the summer or you can learn Italian now.
It's better. Yes.
And would you recommend a particular book that is already in English for us on using radionics, this paper radionics?
I really cannot think about anything because in English, like in Great Britain and in United States, radionics, it's used with the instrument, the real radionics.
Right.
While in Europe, like France, Italy, and we use paper radionics, but it's not very used in your country. So there is, until now, I don't remember, I don't remind any book about paper radionics. I am writing, but they are still not available.
Thank you.
A lot of things that are not available.
She can
Sorry.
she can ask in the bookstore. Here, ask.
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm just curious, so thank you so much for this presentation, it was awesome. I'm just curious how you got started with Radionics Without Borders. I think that's the organization that you.
Did you hear that, Alessandra? He wants to know how you got started with Radionics Without Borders.
This is a very nice story. I got started in 2005 because one of my students, when I was teaching, I was saying, look, this paper radionics is so easy to use, it's so cheap. If we can give this to everybody, poor people that don't have the possibility to maybe find a doctor or pay a doctor, maybe they can use this, not substitute, not as a substitute of the doctor, but waiting for the doctor, or if they don't have anything, maybe you can use this. And there was one of the students that was running an NG, how do you say, an association in Latin America. And after a month, I received the invitation to go in Colombia to teach radionics for free. And we started this project, and I went to Colombia. I stayed 20 days, and I taught radionic to a lot of people. And I made the program specific for them because it was useless to teach things that they don't have the possibility to have, like real instrument, or you have to think where the people live and the condition of their life, whatever. So we design a kind of lessons or things that they can use, ready to use, and everything they can be useful for them. And so we started this, and this project is going on since that day. And right now in Latin America, there are more than 30 radionic practitioners, and they developed their own, they opened their own association, Latin America Radionics and Dowsing. And also during that time, radionics was put in the government as a real traditional way of healing. So it's recognized in I don't remember, Nicaragua is recognized radionic as a kind of therapy. It's the only place in the world. And so this project went on in Latin America and in Africa now. and we go for free. We stay, we offer all our information, and it's very nice because we share information with them and they share information with us. So we learn a lot of things about, Maya religions, a way of healing, and maybe African way of teaching, of healing. So it's really something that is enrich us and them. So it's very nice. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, we got a thumbs up. Thank you. Anyone else? Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I have one question. You meant one of the paper charts you showed was to prevent manipulation, mental manipulation.
The shield.
Yeah, and to guard against dark energies, black magic. So I understand that all these things can be used for good, but they can be used for the opposite. And so so the question is, which one wins of the, you're doing work to protect yourself or your client or the animals or whatever, but you have other forces. So I don't know if there's another paper chart in there that you would add in.
Well, there are a lot of paper radionics chart for a lot of purpose. There are others for against curses. So you just put yourself on the one that is needed and you leave yourself there. These things of people that are doing bad with the things that we use. It's like, it's a tool, radionics, dowsing, it's a tool. You can use either way. You can use in a bad way and you can use in a good way. It depends on you, like a doctor that can do something wrong with an operation and something good. It depends. You were talking about protecting ourselves, and for protection, I use a lot the techniques of Raymond Gray's techniques. I found them very useful. And if something is very continuous attack, I can put myself on this paper chart.
Yeah, I'm asking because I'm dealing with an assault. All right, thank you.
So thank you so much, Alessandra. We so appreciate you sharing all this knowledge and experience with us. It's been fascinating. You're doing some amazing work. And yeah, that's it. Then we hope that we'll be able to meet you in person at some point, and we'll look forward to if you can send the notes to the ASD, we'll make sure to make those available to folks, and maybe as part of the recording. Would be wonderful. And thank you so much for your time. Everyone appreciate.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.